This fall, the Julia A. Purnell Museum in Snow Hill will hold its annual Fiber Fest.
Fiber Fest celebrates fiber arts of all kinds, giving attendees many opportunities to learn about the traditional manner in which textiles were produced before the advent of mechanized production. Well, in today's Monday Memories, we're going back to the fall of 2012 when we first visited the museum to find out how one woman's love of needle art inspired an entire town's love of the art.
I'll show you some of Julia's art here. So we have these two great pieces.
Julia A. Purnell was a needle artist from the time she was a little girl until she died at the age of 100.
So the one on the left was one that she created when she was just 9 years old, and then the one on the right she did when she was 92.
And many of the thousands of pieces of work are here at the Julia A. Purnell Museum in Snow Hill.
Sometimes she's referred to as the Grandma Moses of needle art because she was doing that late in her life, and she was really untrained as far as art goes. I mean, she was, so in some ways, a folk artist.
Born in Snow Hill in 1843, Purnell was a lifelong resident until she died in 1943. It was her son who decided to preserve her work for future generations.
And when she was 99, her son William Purnell opened the museum to show off all of her many pieces of needle art, because by then she had just done hundreds and hundreds, and she'd won a number of awards for her pieces as well. The original museum, before it came to this building, was a little outbuilding on their property where their home was, and it was only open on Sunday afternoons after church, and Julia would be there doing her art, surrounded by her art, and so people could come in and speak with her, and she could sort of hold court in her own museum. So it's probably pretty rare for an individual to have a museum in their honor while they're still living, and to be able to sort of be part of it and enjoy it.
What's also rare, and you have it noted here, is that she's 99 years old, she's doing needlework, and she has no glasses on.
That's right. Apparently she never needed glasses.
And it's the work she did later in life that attracts the most attention.
So we'll look at some pieces here of Julia's original compositions. So these are the kinds of works that she was doing when she was in her 80s and 90s, so later in her years. And these are original works, not from patterns. So she actually designed these compositions herself. And as you can see, there's a lot of landscapes and gardens and houses and cottages that are very charming. She loved bright colors, which is something that's often associated with folk artists because, you know, they've not been trained to tamp down all of that energy of color. They love it and it's beautiful. Definitely
that one has a lot of texture to it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like how those shingles on the roof, you can kind of get the feel of that. But also all those slanting stitches to make those sort of trees that maybe are kind of pine trees or loblollies or something like that. And again, the French knots to do all the little flowers. So it's very lively. It's really fun to look at.
And in keeping with the spirit of Purnell's art, each year the museum holds a needlework competition.
Well, this year, like most years, we have a really diverse group of pieces. So we have people doing counted cross stitch, which is something probably most people are familiar with. Needlepoint quilting, which is very popular as well. But we also have some sort of things that maybe people aren't as familiar with, like felting. People actually doing two-dimensional works that almost look sort of like paintings, but they're actually done out of felt. And even making three-dimensional sculptural pieces out of felt as well. So some a little more unusual techniques.
Keeping the past and the future stitched together.
And this year's Fiber Fest is Saturday, October 15th from 10 to 4 at the Purnell Museum in Snow Hill. And I love needle art. I love cross stitch and needlepoint, all that stuff.
I love the fact that you can get so much detail by just sewing.
Yeah.
And I could barely sew a button back onto my jacket when it pops.
Maybe when you're retired, you can take it up.
Okay.
There you go.